Taking a look at your current U.S. alerts right now, you can see there are widespread wind chill advisories, watches, and warnings across much of the northern, central, and even portions of the eastern U.S. here as we go into that time frame. As low as negative 70-degree wind chills will be present in the wind chill warning areas, primarily focused in portions of North Dakota and Montana, though those negative 50, 40, even 30-degree wind chills will likely drift as far east as the Ohio Valley here, and that's why hence the winter weather advisories, or I'm sorry, the wind chill advisories here as we head into that time frame. And we also have some wind advisories, new ones actually. They just came out this morning for winds of 50 to 55 miles per hour here. Not as of right now seeing any high wind warnings, but there may be a couple upgrades later, especially in Buffalo and northward, with those blizzard conditions continuing here. Though winter storm warnings are still there, however, blizzard conditions will be there as well, hence the cancellation of that game. So anyways, guys, let's continue to time out this winter storm for you here in Buffalo here with the HRRR model here. You can see around 8 to 9 p.m. that band will continue to back off as we go into the overnight hours here, and then as we go into tomorrow morning, we get a little bit of backing off with this, and basically as entire thing as a whole. However, we may get another shift in our wind, which means the wind will go from a southeasterly wind back to a northwesterly flow. And then it sets up stage for another lake effect snow band to go through that area here. And those impacts there are also likely going to lead to high snowfall accumulations here. Take a look at this. We start the snowfall accumulations here. Accumulations can get up to 2 feet, as high as that, in portions of Buffalo getting northward here into Lake Ontario. And then as we take a look at our wind gusts through the next couple hours here, you can see they're very high. Winds of anywhere from 30 to 50 miles per hour expected for much of New York State here, primarily the lakeshore though. However, we do have winter storm warnings and a wind advisory still to contend with there. But as we go into this time frame, note that we will likely start to see those bands backing off by the time we get into Tuesday afternoon. That is some good news. However, we have another storm that we're going to be tracking at the same time as this is backing off. So let's get to tracking this one right now. All right, so timing out this next storm here, you can see as it goes here, it starts as this light to moderate snow activity, perhaps as we go into later on this afternoon here, with some ice starting to develop here in this shade right here. And as we continue into the overnight hours, this will likely expand more as we head into this time frame, and maybe even some heavy snow on the northern hinges of that, as well as ice on the southern hinges of this. This may be an ice storm if all we can track this here. So we're going to need to keep a close eye on that. And the Carolinas even might get some impacts from this. Some snow getting into portions of this area. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some Charlotte getting some snow here as we head into that time frame there. And we have the ice storm breaking out across this area right here. And as we go into this time frame here, we continue with more heavy snow building until this front finally starts to push itself through finally, and then we start to get impacts a little more in the northeast like usual. But watch what happens as we go into this region here. Here's Long Island, all right? Here comes the snow right here. We may need to watch the whole entire East Coast potentially, primarily focus Maryland or northward for the potential for a nor'easter type system on the coastline. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we go into that time frame. But here's basically, to simplify it even more, my East Coast precipitation type configuration here. If you're in this blue shade, obviously that means all snow. Very heavy at times in some areas. The wind is likely not going to be impressive with this, so we're likely not going to be dealing with blizzard conditions, so that is a good thing as well. However, snowfall accumulations may be impressive as well. We'll take a look at those in another video. But you can see in this pink shade is where the ice storm activity will take place. And ice accumulations may be heavy at times, so we're going to need to watch that as well. And as we go into that green shade, you stay all rain on the southernmost hinges of the system. So yeah, definitely a lot to unpack here with these two storms. But where do we go long term here? All right, we're going to go long term here. That storm will likely affect those regions right there. And then we'll likely get some light to moderate snow for the Ohio Valley portions right there. And as we go into this time frame here, our next system is likely going to be coming along here as we go into late this week. And you can see it in portions of the west coast here. And you can also see some lake effect snow from portions of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, maybe even some inland snow right there. So that's going to be something to watch closely. We continue this run here, and then we see two pieces of energy once more getting together. So we're going to need to watch those pieces of energy closely. We may be talking about potentially another South Coast winter storm, or maybe even a Northern Coast winter storm. We're just going to have to see where the track of the low takes here. The Euro model is a little more sufficient with this, bringing snow into portions of this region right here, rather this region right here. So again, that's going to be something to keep an eye on. We're just going to have to track it and see where it goes. But beyond this point, we don't know much more information, and probably on the next couple videos, I will have more for you. And then models have been very consistent here. All indication is that we get some sort of blockbuster storm once more as we head into this time frame here. This is beyond 7 days out. This is about 10 days out. Things are likely bound to change with this. However, maybe severe weather on the southern end with this, and maybe even an ice storm potentially in this region. We're going to have to watch and see the tracks of all these lows. However, there is a lot to unpack with these. So some of these storms might not even happen. So this one might not even happen. These two pieces of energy might not meet. We're just going to have to see what actually happens here. We may just have rain along here, or we may actually have some rain up here, or maybe some lake effect. There's a lot of scenarios that could pan out with this next potential storm here, but that's why I'm going to stop here and take you on our cold, bitter cold air and wind chills that we need to look at here. Enough of the long term, let's get to those details right now. So I put you guys tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. here, and you can see this cold air will likely continue spilling in to portions of the United States. You can see these lighter colors here coming down from Canada here. That is the Arctic air and the very cold wind chills. The wind chills are anywhere from -60 or 70 up here to down here, the -50 range, and maybe even -20. This area is going to need to be watched still over the course of the long-term period, because the cold air is likely bound to stick around. And that is clearly indicated by the GFS model here. You can see as we go beyond Martin Luther King Day, and then as we go into that Tuesday time frame, that cold air continues to stay. We do get a little bit more revival in our temperatures here, but as we go into this time frame, notice we still have those lighter colors in the shade right here. Big dip in the jet stream right there. But you can see Big Trough tries to dig once more, a second round, as we go into next week, which we're going to have to watch here for basically this entire region, indicated by those purples and maybe even those reds. because cold air may escape here. And we may need to watch a couple low pressure systems that potentially may spin up along this, potentially, to see if we could get some sort of big blockbuster storm again or not. But we're way far out from this. This is January 21st here at 1 a.m. So there's a lot of details to unpack from this. But you can see we definitely stay cold into the long term here. And I'm talking in the 10-day range until we finally start to get a little bit of revival from our temperatures finally as we go into this time frame, and then we finally start to have warm air advection here. And that's going to be something to watch as well. And this next system coming up, we may need to watch for the potential for some sort of severe weather event from this region. It might even get as north as this. So we're going to need to watch that very closely. The GFS model has showed 40 to 50 or even 60-degree dew points advecting as far north as this region. So that's just going to be something to keep an eye on here. Maybe a spring-like severe weather setup, but again, too many details to unpack right now because there's a lot of cold air that we need to get through, obviously, and a lot of winter storms that we still have to unpack here, and potentially another ice storm in the north we might need to watch out for. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm Severe Storm Filmer. I guess that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.